for this orchard is this book. And I want to clarify that there are so many ways to plant a tree, right? You go to a nursery and they'll say, oh, you do this, oh, you do that. But this is the book that we're going to use. There's many, many ways to plant a tree, but the thing that we're trying to do is work with nature as much as possible, right? No synthetic pesticides, no synthetic herbicides. And what most people don't realize is that when you're planting a tree, what you're really concerned about is what's going on underground, right? The microbial fungi, the bacteria, what we really, and that's why this hole is 16 inches deep and 3 feet wide. Because what we're trying to do is create this really lovely space for very tender roots. That's what we care about. People get very caught up in the size of the tree, and what we care about are those roots. So we're going to create a condition that the roots really, really like to live. Most people don't realize that the root system is extensive. And it's really extensive at the top of the soil, the top 12 inches. The majority of the roots are really there, and these are tiny roots, baby roots. So what we want to do is we've got to make sure that this becomes like a feather pillow, the top, right? We never compress it. What we're going to do is we're going to fill the soil in, but then we're going to put compost on top, then we're going to put wood chips on top. And we're not going to be messing with the soil because the roots are at work. So what we did was we chose to get, I'm gonna go over here, bare root trees. And so now when you go to a nursery, typically what you do when you go to a nursery is that you'll find a container, right? And I used to do this too. I get so excited. It's like, oh my gosh, a tall tree, and it's even leafing out, and oh my gosh, it has fruit on it. That's the worst thing you can buy. That's the worst thing you can buy. Because ideally, you're planting your fruit trees when it's cold, when the trees are dormant. So we're a little bit late because of the weather events and other things. We're a little bit behind the ball. The great thing is we have a lot of people who are going to take care of these trees. We'll be paying real close attention to them, so they'll have a higher rate of success. But this is a little late. So when you buy a bare root tree, what you're getting is just this, a tree that's probably a year old at most, and it comes with straw around it and then burlap to keep it moist. And then the night before, what we did is we soaked these roots in seaweed. So by Maya's foot is a bag of dried seaweed. So you take a teaspoon and you put it in a gallon of water. The whole purpose is we want to keep these roots as moist as we possibly can. This is what we care about the most, right? Because ideally, all these roots are going to flare out in all these directions. We're going to put this in the center of the hole, and what we want is for this tree to go in so many directions that it's not leaning, right? We want these roots to find an easy home, and that way we don't have to stake it. Now, the other thing to do with a bare root tree as opposed to a container tree is that these are called feathers. All these little bits are feathers. This is a lot of stress on the tree right now. The tree is screaming like, oh my God, get me in the soil. And what you do when you have a bare root tree is once you're done with the planting, you cut it about 1/3 of the way down. And what that does is it tells the tree to start putting out your energy into the roots. And also what it does is it helps you shape the tree. If you go to a professional or a commercial orchard, what you'll find is that the crotch of a tree is really low, really, really low. You know, typically when you go to someone's backyard, it's kind of tall and arching. If you're harvesting fruit, you want it low, right? And you're going to continue to cut your tree when it's dormant in the coming years. You're going to shape it so it doesn't take off. And essentially what that does is it keeps pushing energy down. You want to have a tree that's going, you want a really, really great root base. So that's the goal, okay? So when we're done with this planting, we're going to trim this off. And one thing I learned in the book, this holistic book that I didn't know, is that there is a great deal of nutrition in the tips of these feathers. So rather than just throwing away the cutting, we're going to cut it into little pieces and incorporate it into the tree itself. Because again, what our end goal is to have a 5-foot diameter of mulch around this tree. Any questions? No? Okay. Well, let's go back to the next hole and put this in.
is so knowledgeable. If you're looking for more information about our community, the land is stewarded by Greengate Farms, a certified organic farm. And the educational arm is called the New Farm Institute. And you are looking out right now on the first phase of Village Farm Tiny Home Community, facing our beautiful certified organic farm and soon to be fruit orchard. Whoop whoop. Thanks y'all. That's villagefarmaustin.com. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and be sure to visit. You can see our community in person here in Austin, Texas, 8207 Canoga Avenue, Austin, Texas. Thanks y'all.